It's an honor to be here, and I just want to primarily thank Reverend Nika. I wouldn't be here if she didn't invite me to be here. And I hold her too in my heart as she is restoring her body and conscience and heart and soul to return, and I think it's mid-May or so, to continue to be your sterling minister. And it's a joy also. I look out and I see Reverend Betty Stapleford. What years did you serve here, Betty? I know. They won't remember exactly. Go ahead.
1998 to 2010.
Yeah. For 12 years, she was your minister here, and she's here still. So, and she's my colleague, and she's my friend with her husband, Tom. It's a privilege to be here with them. And with Merlin, I mean, my goodness. I mean, if I never come back again, Merlin and I are going on the road. Tell you, in 59 years of ministry now, and still counting, I've been with a lot of worship associates and all different kinds, but the variety of skills that you bring and the sensitivity that you bring is remarkable. It truly is. There's a presence, so it's a real gift.
I'm so sorry I didn't know the rules.
Colleen,
We love you. I'm so sorry.
forgiveness is the final form of love, and that's what the whole story was about today. Forgiveness.
We love you, Colleen.
And Anthony and the choir, I missed them, but I mean, next time the choir will be back, right? Maybe. Okay. I want to thank you all for having me back. Every preaching occasion is precious to me now, since there'll come a time when I look in the mirror and say, that's it. You've had a good run. It's time to close up shop on circuit writing. And or my wife, Loretta, will lovingly poke me. But not yet. Not yet. Now, how many of you have ever heard a Unitarian Universalist minister preach a sermon on the Ten Commandments? One hand amidst the throng. In my 59 years of mounting the pulpit, this is my third time dancing with the 10. But I'm fired up about them right now. I'm fired up about the moral and spiritual consequences of our following them, not as restrictions. They're not really meant to be restrictions. They're liberators. They're reminders of how we can better our personal and communal living in 2026. When I follow them to the best of my ability, every day at the completion, I realize I'm more solid, I'm more joyful, I'm more peaceful, I'm more loving, and I'm freer. Now, if you're interested, I got a book on them. For purchase and signing. Loretta will be here in the corner, but you got to take the challenge after today. Take the challenge and go from there out into your own heart, in your household, and in the streets of this country. But why the urgency now? Why does this nearly 85-year-old tingling and with the 10. Why? I want to tell you why. It's a 3,500-year plus document. And one poll in this country says 78%, and that's a pretty high number, of Americans are thoroughly dissatisfied with our moral values. We're fed up with a constipated Congress, rampant racism, gun violence, economic inequalities, I can go on here, surging terrorism abroad and at home, bribery in high places, the ruthless decline of democracy as well as civility, environmental destruction, and now our undeclared and likely interminable war in the Middle East. I mean, we're starved. We're starved for principled guidelines to reform our culture that's beset by greed and divisiveness, lies and bigotry. There's more. Internationally, the USA ranks 125th regarding literacy. Our child poverty rate has risen to 20%, a situation that Senator Cory Booker rightly calls moral violence. Furthermore, the United States stands as the world leader in murder, juvenile crime, imprisonment, divorce, production of pornography, and drug consumption. And religions of all stripes are struggling. I don't want to sound like we're noble and we're the beacon of light. We're struggling, folks. And Unitarian Universalism is declining in membership, money, supply of ministers, and general morale. Most of the colleagues training in ministry today at Harvard or Star King or Meadville Lombard are going into entrepreneurial ministries of choice. And I'm not opposed to that, except what will happen to the beloved communities on street corners and in Newberry Park? Huh? Who's going to be there? Nika. Yeah. But when Nika completes her journey, who's going to be there? And the trainees, they're choosing because it's tough. It's tough to be a local parish minister. I know. So where are we going to start? Well, alongside the Eightfold Path of Buddhism, and I'm a Buddhist practitioner, and the 5 pillars of Islam, check them out. The 3 gates of Sufism, the Confucian Analects, and the Christianity's Sermon on the Mount, surely one place to begin a multi-faith forum is by utilizing the 10 Commandments that shape the basis of Jewish morality and remain of historical power and pertinence for most members of Western civilizations. Although if you ask someone, they can quote about 1 or 2 of the 10. But whether you're a believer or a skeptic or a skeptical believer, as most of us in the room probably are, I think they bring some wisdom. And I'm going to try to unpack them as swiftly as I can. I can't do it as thoroughly as I do it on workshops, but I'm going to give it a shot. I know we kid a lot. We call them the 10 suggestions. Liberals call them the 10 suggestions. They're deeper than that, okay? They're deeper than that. Now, you can feel free to quibble with me. That's core to Judaism, is wrestling and quibbling with God is core to Judaism and with other human beings. So you can squabble honestly and honorably with me. This is simply a jolt to your heart and mind. The first 3 are on God. I've written an entire book specifically for skeptical believers. It's called Wrestling with God, back in 2002. It's still available on Amazon. I'm out of them, but Amazon's got them. And I confess in that book that I'm a practicing atheist, agnostic, and affirmatist simultaneously. I'm an atheist because there are certain views of God that are abhorrent. You got to get rid of them. I'm an agnostic because I'm swimming in uncertainty like you are. And I'm an affirmatist because I list 7 moments and places, smudges of what I call divine fingerprints, primarily found wherever love is thriving. But I go into some others too. For me, God primarily references an eternal graciousness which brought me into being. Undeserved miracle, statistical miracle. Has challenged, has critiqued, and has caressed me ever since, and will cradle me when I die. Rest assured, I'm a universalist. That was their phrase. Rest assured. Don't define God, don't argue about God, just know that you're going to re-enter at the completion of your journey into that embrace. Everyone is. That's saying a lot. And this love is ensouled in Rebecca Parker and Beth Norton's beautiful chant that's shared both at my present wife Loretta's mother's memorial, Lorna, as well as my former wife's, Carolyn's, memorial in 2023. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding you. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. That's my theology, but I'll go on anyway. I want to navigate my final laps, as many as I got, in partnership with and in resemblance to such all-embracing love. And so, my companions, I ask you, what constitutes your primary God or goddess, your higher, your deeper, your inner power? What's the governing lodestar of your daily journey? To wrap up, on God, I tend to 3 gentle nudges. First, can we at least admit we ain't God? Number 2, can we resonate with commandment number 2 that alerts us to beware of worshiping seductive images and idols of all sorts? Or are they out there? And really some good, enticing, noble ones that liberals go after. And 3, finally, can you appreciate the wisdom of commandment 3, which summons us to allow the infinite to remain a mystery, beyond our creation, our comprehension, and our control. A mystery. Recognizing we're never going to do any better than Moses. The best that Moses got were the hind parts of God. There's tons more to discuss about God, but that's a sermon series. Number 4, remember the Sabbath day. To keep it holy. I call it the path and power of sloth. There's no more important commandment probably than number 4. It was considered a distinctive mark of Judaism, a brand new institution in human history, never before. Nothing like it up to that time. Sabbath is about taking care of one's inner sanctuary. And everybody, including Yahweh or God, can take advantage of it. For example, we read, and God exhaled. Nice going, God. Land and animals are given rest. Those who work under any sort of bondage are freed. We're talking about radical, universal rest. Here and now, Sabbath. Drawing a deep breath, literally, without which our lives quickly succumb to stress and chaos. That's got to be intentional. It's got to be daily, maybe several times during the day. This isn't kind of once a month or showing up on Sunday. That's not enough. The Buddhist activist, peace and justice activist Thich Nhat Hanh, who had blessed us with 95 years, he took Thursdays off. And even during the period when the South Vietnamese government was trying to suppress the peace, he wasn't in favor of either the East or the West, North or South Vietnam, or the American civilization. He was practicing his peace and justice on his own, building schools for youth when they were being bombed before he went into exile. And he took Thursdays off, and his cohorts would cry out, "Sir, they're raiding your office, they're stealing your papers, and they're bombing." And he said, "Hey, it's Thursday. I'll get around to it tomorrow." Thich Nhat Hanh, when asked the core of meditation, he said there are 5 words, 5 steps. Stop, calm, rest, heal, transform. When we breathe deeply, our individual spirit partakes of the eternal spirit, having every one of our 75 trillion cells in our bodies breathing more slowly and harmoniously is decisive to a hale and holy health. 5, honor your father and mother. I call it value your primal bond. It says honor. Doesn't say romanticize and idolize. And it doesn't say disconnect. But take them seriously. They were grinding. Honor them. The parent-child nexus was our first and most enduring primal bond, and it provides the wellspring of all ensuing relationships. We learn how to express or suppress affection and respectfulness starting there. Austrian-born American child psychologist Bruno Bettelheim, remember him? He had a checkered career as a father. So did Gandhi. King had some struggles too. Bettelheim wrote, "There are no perfect parents and no perfect children, but every parent can be good enough." And I'd add, every child can be good enough. Tov me'ov, good enough. Folks, family estrangement is rampant in our current culture, as one-third of American children have chosen to divorce their parents, according to the recent Oprah documentary, which is stunningly good. If we're currently estranged within our families, how might we move towards some sort of healing or repair in our own hearts, if not in relational reality? Get what you can get. Give what you can give. Hi there. 6, thou shalt not kill. The essential sanctity of life. Life is our most precious possession. But when this sweeping commandment is used in absolute form, thou shalt not kill, we find it impossible to heed. I don't know about you. It's impossible for me. Life feeds on life. We cannot help but kill to live. A close buddy of ours, a staunch Buddhist practitioner of the hallowed life, weeps every time she squashes a spider or an ant. And as I creep closer toward a more plant-based regimen, my vegan cohorts remind me that even an herb-sodden diet causes suffering. Whenever we pull or pick plants from the ground, their life force is broken. I deal with a lot in this chapter and this commandment. My first memorial I did way back at the neighborhood church, Jerry, was for Bob Cuddy, who committed suicide. That was the first one. A guy in his 20s and a guy in his 30s commits suicide, and I'm there. That's a whole other story. May we be vigilant also, not just about killing the body, but killing the mind and the spirit. Help the young people. They're into the equipment. As well as the spirit and mind within ourselves. How do we destroy it and nibble away at destruction there? And it gets more complicated. I mean, true nonviolence entails the willingness to learn even from our enemies. Come on, why'd that have to get in there? And the ability to desire their safety as well as our own. And to understand the part in them, and I can start to name, and I'm not going to name, that tries to hurt us. even while refusing to cooperate with it. And no matter how nonviolent we purport to be in theory or practice, we must never envision evil as if it were something arising outside ourselves. We got to confess our complicity in the very evils we abhor. Self-righteousness is a sneaky sin. And thou shalt not kill means squat, unless we choose to be peacemakers first and foremost within our very own hearts and households. I started the Peace Resource Center in 1984 in San Diego, still going on, and sadly, too many of the peacemakers of our era were committing domestic violence at home. We're imperfect, folks. These are reminders. Thou shalt not commit adultery, number 7. Treat all relationships respectfully. In my book, I deal squarely with my own adultery in my first marriage, and the wounds and the harm and the men that I've spent my life aspiring to reconcile. And I was even primed in this book to disclose the presumed adultery of Moses until Rabbi Rachel Mikva, who is far more knowledgeable than I, and who wrote the foreword to the book, said, "No, Tom, don't go there." Of course, the complexity of human love in today's world can't be easily handled by any simple dictum. Adultery, in a profound sense, is a private matter, and it's not something for public legislation or tribal law. One thing I've learned, and often the hard way, over my ministerial career is this: never hastily judge the inner life or behavioral choices of another person or couple or family. Clean up your own house and open your heart with love and acceptance and compassion. But the kernel of this commandment really got to me as I was wrestling with it. It challenges all of us in our human connections to be careful not to adulterate, that is, adulterate, corrupt, or debase life's central vow of respectfulness in all of our human intercourse. Do not debase or adulterate any of the bonds that cross your path. That's big. That's relevant. Thou shalt not steal. Robbery diminishes everybody. Let's remember, siblings, on this earth we're all guests with limited reservations. So don't pillage the resources. Don't insult the natives. And don't steal the towels. Hospitality. Acts of pilfering, cheating, swindling, you name them. They're violations of personhood. Property theft occurs in some manner, they say, every 3 seconds. And there's a severe uptick, of course, in identity theft. I suffered a data breach the other day, and I'm sure you have as well. God, at this age, I hardly know what to do anymore. I mean, I need to get into the equipment. I need to connect. Greed and materialism are forms of robbery in our American culture. We have to dump the notions of entitlement or domination in any guise. For example, some form of reparations are due for African Americans and Native Americans, as well as for Mexicans, from whom our state of California and much of the Southwest was essentially stolen. Won't happen while I'm alive, but we got to be at least aware of it and nibble away. And the blatant and devious modes of slavery and servitude are legion, and they're spreading. And then there's rape. To steal, seize, or carry away by force. The eighth commandment simply says that genuine justice means ensuring that a fair and sufficient amount of everything belongs to people, gets to them, and stays with them. Be it food, or job, or security, or freedom, or health care, or housing, or dignity. The beloved community, when we start to resemble it, everyone is valued and able to thrive, not merely survive. And number 8 also reminds us to halt the non-material robberies we commit of time. I remember my grandparents would always talk about the preciousness of time. Don't steal time. Don't waste your time. The robbery of ideas and space, and even of one another's qualities such as joy and assurance. And I think of the bombing of the Iranian school, the lost children's joy and assurance. Our daughter Erin, in her early 50s, is currently completing a doctorate in combating cybercrime that focuses upon the unbridled sex trafficking with children via the dark web. The research that she is having to mount to figure out the coding to even get close to the criminals is remarkable. You could do it, Erin. Keep it on, keep it on. And perhaps most importantly, this commandment reminds us that the possessive instinct has its limits. There exist realities you don't own. Just enjoy them. Love and stars and trust and oceans, they're non-possessible. 9, thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor. Seek, find, face, tell, and do the truth. Now, a few of us are outright murderers or thieves, but I dare conjecture that all of us are conveyors of gossip, stereotypes, and falsehoods, white little lies, or weapons of the mouth. And so we're here on earth, the 9th commandment reminds us, to seek, find, face, tell, and most of all, do some truth. In the Christian scriptures, it talks about doing the truth. Not thinking about it or let's write about it. That's okay. Get out and do some. And finally, the 10th, thou shalt not covet. This is a long one. Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's house, your neighbor's wife, or manservant, or maidservant, or ox, or ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. In other words, cling to naught. N-A-U-G-H-T. Wow, this covers about everything that you and I have been lusting after, right? I mean, everything within our reach is there. The only corrective I've found in my life to some form of envy or covetousness is generosity. Why generosity? It's good it's on this Sunday. when you're lighting more candles. Because without generosity, you love sparingly. Without generosity, we act for justice when we get around to it. Without generosity, we grow stingy, tight, inward, stingy of our time and our talent and the resources that we get during our stay on earth. We are the sum of our gifts, not our stuff.